Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. The Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm Gerald Christopher Marcus Porter.
And I'm Andrew Hawthorn.
Welcome, Andrew.
Oh, thanks. It's great to be here.
You are you're the host of your own podcast, which I think is excellent. Tell us about that.
Oh, shucks. Yeah, I'm the co-host of No Time for Heroics. We're a podcast about superhero movies and also not so superhero movies. But basically, we just look at superhero stuff in genre that isn't comics and figure out if it works and if it doesn't. And we're always kind of praying for a good one, but it never really seems to come about.
Although you just did, as we record this, you just had your 50th episode and you did Superman the movie, which was awesome.
That was a good time, but a weird side effect of doing this podcast, I, of course, grew up with Christopher Reeve as Superman and love every second of it, and still do to an extent. But we recently watched George Reeves as Superman in the 50s version, and it made me really rethink a lot of what Christopher Reeve was doing, because he's kind of playing him as a man out of time that doesn't really fit in, whereas George Reeves is playing him as just another guy, and it creates a very different dynamic on screen.
Yeah, that's true. That's an excellent point. But everybody should check out your show because you get into this and other stuff with other movies, and it's pretty great.
Thank you very much. And unfortunately, we don't get to do Indiana Jones because he's not technically a superhero. So this is a great opportunity for me.
All right, do you have a side project that's a podcast about massive clods who almost ruin everything? Because you could do them there.
That would be Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the only other idea I've ever had for a podcast was a movie where we pair different kinds of teas with film called 2 for T for T2.
Hey.
That wasn't going to work, though.
Was that a Terminator?
Yeah, it was just going to be
podcast?
James Cameron films and how they go with oolong, but I'm not really sure it was going to work out in the long run.
Well, you're in the right place. You got your show, and you're doing it right, and it's good.
Thank you very much.
And now you're here to discuss minute 81 with us of Raiders.
Oh, man. You know, when you told me I was doing these minutes, if you had asked me any minutes to do, I probably wouldn't have said these minutes, but I would have been wrong.
Yeah. No, you could do a lot worse than these minutes. This is, in a great movie, these are some great minutes. Starting with minute 81, which begins with Indy getting punched even more as the flying wing slowly rotates, and it ends with Dietrich giving orders to load the Ark on a truck.
Well, at the very beginning of this minute, we're still, as you said, he's getting punched more. But then the whole ass-whooping scene stops, and Indy starts fighting back, like out of the blue, valiantly. And I was wondering, why do you think they show Indy getting 4 great consecutive punches in?
Because they do nothing. They have zero effect.
I was like, is it a character thing? Like, hey, Indiana Jones has a lot of heart, even when the odds are greatly stacked against him, you know, and that's what we're showing. Mm-hmm. Or is it actually just to show how inefficacious his most valiant efforts are against this bald mechanic fracas seeker?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think it's showing he's giving his best, and it's not going to be enough. He's going to have to defeat this guy a different way. Or
he's just doomed. Yeah. Like I've had dreams exactly like this, where I'm just punching and punching as hard as I can, and nothing is happening. So
he clearly breaks his nose.
Yeah, but he doesn't care.
No. The guy actually grabs him, and he's a little surprised, and he's a little proud of Indy.
He kind of
for like a quick second. He's like, "Oh,
hey, you little scrapper, you do have some."
Yeah, exactly. And then he hits him once. And, I think like a cello comes in and it just, it spells doom. And Indy falls right on his ass. And you're like, oh, that's it.
His fall is crazy because he kind of flails for a second when he lands. And it's almost like, oh no, does Indy have neurological damage from getting beaten up so badly? This is horrible. It's a
Undoubtedly
gross
does,
movie.
yes.
It's usually what the cello indicates.
And then, we come to probably the grossest thing that we've never seen on film. Like, the propeller comes up behind the guy, Indy hides his face, the guy turns around, and you know exactly what happens, but you don't see it, but it's still maybe the sickest thing that happens in the movie.
Oh, it works so well.
I had nightmares about this for years after I saw this
Oh,
as a
God,
kid.
yeah.
Just this one scene.
Yeah, I think about showing this to my son. He's 9 right now, and I'm like, I gotta wait a little bit because, yes, melting faces and stuff, but just thinking and even hearing what happens to the guy. You see the splatter and stuff, but I never noticed before the sound the propellers are making. It's like they're buzzing through something that doesn't have a lot of resistance, but it's there, and it's I don't know. It's like it's chopping celery and cheese or something, and it's horrifying.
Yeah.
See, I would put this. I would, say this is just sort of like the Old Testament, sort of Yahweh gratuitous violence. That's some wrath of God right there. If your face is sort of shorn off like an Arby's roast beef,
Wow.
Wow.
by a plane propeller. That's only Yahweh. Only Yahweh does that.
I think that's what Arby's
But it's-
roast beef is.
And it's incredible how violent this scene is without actually showing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think imagining it is way worse than actually even seeing it.
And it's straight blood on the swastika.
Yeah.
I think that's why God is he's really angry right now.
And the other thing is, this guy is Pat Roach, and he, spoilers, but he's going to go out almost exactly the same way in the next movie. They're in the middle of a fight in Temple of Doom, and some stuff happens. The camera cuts away, and there's just a big bloody smear where he was. This is, I guess, how you take out Pat Roach.
Or for a while anyway. He keeps coming back.
Yeah, he's doing good. That's
why they call him Roach.
Have you guys talked much about Pat Roach yet on this?
We just we talked about him in Nepal. He showed up as the rumpus rouser in Nepal, and he shows up here. So we haven't talked about his career really, just about his multiple appearances here.
This minute is great for me because this is the rawest Pat Roach you get. He usually appears under a lot of makeup or under a lot of costuming, as he's done already in this movie. But in this, he doesn't even have hair. He's just
Or a
nude
shirt.
from the waist up. Yeah. And yeah, he's just one of these great unsung character actors, mostly because of these movies. But it's so great to see him here. And the other thing about him, other than his physicality, is his voice. And in this scene, his whole, it happened earlier than this, but his "Yeah, come yum" is in the Chronicle of Indie quotes. That's one I also use a lot. But you can tell, even in other movies, he's in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves as a Celtic warrior, and you don't know it's him until you hear the way he's screaming at people, and you're like, oh, it's Pat Roach. But my favorite of all time is his General Kale in Willow, as not
that's him.
Yeah, the guy with the big skull mask, who's like the leader of the evil army. A lot of people are mixed on Willow, but not only does he have a really great, memorable-looking character with this giant skull mask, he's got a lot of lines. He's got a lot more than he usually gets to do, and he has perhaps one of the best death scenes in cinema history, or sword fight death scenes at the end of that movie with Val Kilmer, and he takes 7 swords to take him out by the end of that. He's such a great actor.
Well, and here, when, as you said before, Tommy, when Indy shields his face.
Yeah.
And he's actually really freaked out. That's almost one of the scariest things about it.
Yeah.
He's also got a grin on his face.
Yeah, I've got a question about this. Is Indy a psychopath?
Yeah.
Starting at this minute and for the next 10 minutes, in this one, he covers his eyes and then it happens, and then he's lying on his back like he's convulsing with laughter. And over the next few minutes, there will be several death scenes where afterwards you just get a quick laugh or grin from Indy.
He's really happy to see this man who bested him in combat dead. He's just like, oh, you thought you could one-up me, did you?
And you know what's weird? It's this is kind of, it's not just he's guarding his face to not get splattered on, but he's not running away or anything. And it's oh, is this tactical? Is he okay, I can't beat this guy. I have to let this propeller kill him for me. So I'm going to stay here so he doesn't come after me. He just stays where he is, and hopefully this fight will be done with his face sawed off.
Well, is him doing that, is Indy covering his face kind of like one of those, oh, hey, look, watch out moments, kind of like you did at the very beginning with the mechanic, where he points down. He kind of points down and kicks him. Yeah, I wonder, or is he truly really freaked out and disgusted and like, oh my God, I can't watch.
Your face is about to come untied.
Yeah.
And speaking of guarding your face, one of the things that I never really noticed about this minute before, because you're so focused on the blood on the swastika, is the blood goes all over that cockpit Marion's stuck into. Like, she's got Pat Roach all over that cockpit right now.
That's not going to come out.
Ugh.
It's got to be like 120 degrees in that cockpit and just smell horrible.
And there's already a guy in there with her. Is he dead? No, maybe he's just knocked out.
For now.
Well, I think he's in the actual. Is she in this? Is she's in the machine gunner turret ball?
I was gonna say like later when
maybe she ran back through. I don't know.
No, I think right now she's in the gunner thing, and then by the time Indy gets her out, she's back in the pilot spot. I guess we call that the cockpit, the pilot spot.
The pilot spot.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of the cockpit, something I always wondered. So, unless anybody would else like to talk about propeller deaths, it's all right.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, we said last minute, look, had the fracas-seeking Pat Roach guy had a loved one, maybe he wouldn't have been sliced up like that.
Somebody watches back, somebody to care for him. God, this is sad.
But Indy jumps on the plane. And he tries to. I love how he tries. There's a quick second. He's like, "No, you turn it. No, you turn it." God damn it, Jesus! Let me in the car door.
This is exactly like me coaching my parents to do something on the computer or something. Like, get out of the way, and then I just blow it away. I just shoot their laptop.
But I wonder if you shoot a bullet at a lock, does it automatically open whatever it is that you're trying to open?
Yeah, apparently.
Like, is a gun and a bullet like a skeleton key?
For just about everything, yeah.
I mean, 70 years of Hollywood says yes. I don't see why they'd be lying to me.
No, we've seen it happen time and again. It's proven. It's like a sonic
screwdriver. You can't get into you lock your keys in the car.
Yeah.
Can you just shoot the door and you're like, no, there's no need to call AAA.
No, just shoot the door. Or if you want to blow up the car, you just shoot it once, like in the body somewhere. Then the whole car will explode.
Or if you're being harassed by somebody, you just hide your face and all of a sudden they get chopped up.
The thing is, if you call AAA to get you out of that car, they're just going to shoot the lock anyway.
Yeah. They have like an official AAA gun or a lock shooting gun, but that's still the same principle. One thing that I think is actually, yes, this film is really well made. One thing that I love in this movie is this whole scene that we're talking about where he's shooting the lock, getting Marion out of there. As that's happening, live in the background of the shot, the fire is approaching the fuel truck. And I think that's so awesome. They easily could have, not put that on themselves to have both of those well-timed things happening at the same time in the same shot. But that's incredible. Like if they had done it wrong this time, they would have had to put out all that fire, start all over again. And
that's a beautiful shot too, because the flames are like different colors and they're moving just at the right speed.
And not only that, but the entrance to the Well of Souls antechamber that he had just come out of before this scene is also in the background of that. And so you can see, this is all very well placed in the world. You've got a good idea of where everything sits, even as all of these very precisely timed things are happening.
It's like seeing the, if you're at the edge of the screen of a new level in a video game and you can see the previous level landmarks in the background or something.
Now, I think that fire and the way it's shooting across the landscape, that looks like the work of Tote.
Yeah, he's done this before. Do you think that's
he's done this before.
That truck was filled with whiskey.
Yeah, that truck was filled with whiskey and Moses whiskey, and I think there's Tote he can't. I think maybe he can't control himself, and he's like, there's a perfect line of flammable liquid.
He's got a problem.
It has that same bar flame shoot across.
It definitely does. That's
So
pretty brilliant.
what I love is here. There's like a little John Williams note. You hear the classic Indy theme, but for a split second, it's actually played on a glockenspiel.
Are you dead serious?
I'm dead serious. Yeah, it's just like two. It's like maybe 3 or 4 notes, and you hear it, and it just kind of sounds like maybe the angels are chiming in to help.
You are not going to let that go.
Yeah, no.
You want God to be on Indy's side.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Who knows? I bet you're wrong about the glockenspiel, but maybe you're right about God helping out. Who knows? Well, does anyone else have anything for this minute?
Just one thing about the explosion itself, which I think someone mentioned. They probably only had one take to film the actual explosion because they're destroying their set here. But
Yeah, I think that's true.
one amazing thing about it is, other than the explosion, the fireball that comes out, you can actually see the shockwave from the explosion move out through the sand on the launch pad and the hill behind it. And it only gets about as far as Indy and Marion, who are presumably their stunt doubles. I guess this is Vic Armstrong at this point. Just at the edge of as far as this shockwave is going to go. And it makes me wonder if they were calculating that, because that would have done a lot of damage to them.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to say that that's just happy happenstance. I don't know how they could have planned that. Although maybe, I don't know, explosives experts.
The airfield, there's a white line around the airfield, and the explosion only goes as far as it. The shockwave only goes to the white line, and they've just crossed it as it hits them. And
we learned yesterday that they dusted a bunch of Nazi soldiers with cayenne pepper to simulate smoking blood or whatever. So maybe they were careful this time to not hurt anybody.
Oh my, that must have really stung.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So mean.
The truck and plane explosions are almost identical, sound effect wise, to the guns in Marion's bar. They're very close. Yeah. And did anybody else hear when it's at the very end of the minute after the explosion? There's like an enormous sewer pipe that crashes on the ground.
Oh yeah, that kang.
Yeah, but it's I guess it's part of the plane fuselage or something.
Maybe
it's
that,
clearly in there. You're like, okay, here's an explosion, and somebody threw up an enormous sewer pipe, like an aluminum pipe lands.
Maybe that's the tube that Marion crawled through to get to the gunning thing.
Just adding a little flavor, yeah.
It's probably the same noise. You know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Probably the same noise that they use when Indy drops the staff of Ra into the map room, and it goes clank, clank, clank.
Oh boy. Well, they're not quite out of it yet. Everything's exploding, but that's as it should be in an awesome movie like this.
I mean, I think Indy should go home. I mean, after the propeller and the face thing, I'd need a minute.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
He's done enough.
Yeah, he's done it. And not only that, it's that was one layer you go, oh my God. I mean, I got onto the plane, I got out of the Well of Souls, Marion's not mad at me, I saved it. And now I have to fight a big Pat Roach?
Yeah, he's having a tough time. But he brought this on himself.
It's a rough day for Jones, yeah.
Yeah.
So does Indy think that the Ark just blew up?
No, I still think that he doesn't think it was on the plane yet.
Okay.
But that'd be hysterical if it did. What would happen if it did?
Yeah.
Knowing that what we know from later.
He definitely knows it isn't on the plane, because just before this he says, when that Ark gets on the plane, we're already going to be on it. So I presume he's aware basically of where the Ark is. And
So wait a minute, what were they going to be hiding in the Millennium Falcon cargo hold?
That's what I was saying
That
before.
was his plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't a great plan, but that was his plan.
I'm just going to hang on to the outside.
Go back to, fall semester. Just teaching Indy. That's not a great plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, just after he knocks out Pat Roach, he turns to Marion and he's like, oh, wait, I forgot to grade those papers.
I'll give him an extension. Everybody gets an A. It's the grading theme from Raiders. Well, Pete, before we come back tomorrow, can you tell everybody where to find us if they want to let us know I don't know. I always try to come up with something clever to say.
I
Almost.
was waiting on this one.
Let's see. I'm gonna do. Hang on. I'm gonna come up with something. Pete, why don't you tell people where they can find us to talk about their least favorite sandwich at Arby's and how it tastes like a Nazi's face?
Well, if you do that, please record it talking into a fan,
Oh,
and you can bring it on our Facebook page, Indiana Jones Minute and the Listener Crusade, or you can find us at indianajonesminute.com.
we should include a disclaimer that if you actually like get your nose caught in the fan or anything, that's not our fault. Please
Don't get too
use
close to that
caution.
fan. No.
Only
Yeah.
a fan with a grill. Yes.
Yeah. Use common sense.
Actually, you need a loved one.
Yeah, have somebody watch your back. Get yourself a Marion or a Frank Marshall or something. You'll be all right. It's going to be great. And Andrew, can you come back tomorrow and find out what happens next?
I'm going to check my agenda, but I think I can make it.
Excellent. I look forward to it. And everyone else, please come back here too for minute 82 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
One of this.